Hey guys, Falaris here. Today we're going to be taking a look at an Udyr game from Aribo. He is widely considered among Udyr players to be probably the best Udyr player in the world. He's kind of like the grandfather of Udyr. If you remember a couple years back when Udyr suddenly started showing up in pro play with Q level 1 into Phoenix Max, it's because of this guy. He was basically just rampaging through EOS solo queue with like an 80% win rate, if I recall correctly, on Udyr, and everybody started to pick the champion up. He just reached Challenger again on his Smurf Oblivion Blade, so I figured this would be a pretty good time to go take a look at his gameplay and see what sets him apart, right? Udyr is a champion that most players consider very, very simple. You just full clear on repeat, and you spam your Turtle and your Phoenix in fights. So what separates these Challenger Udyr players from low yellow Udyr players? That's what we're here to find out today. Now, he is jungling against Elyoya, the jungler for Mad Lions on Vi, Camille top, Vlad mid, Vayne, Seraphine bot. So 3 lanes that Udyr really struggles to gank actually. They all have significant mobility and escape tools to get away from his ganks. So I would expect Udyr to have quite a bit of focus on objectives this game, trying to take dragons and heralds off cooldown. Now, if I had to pick a side to focus, it would probably be the top side. If you think about bot lane, the only real setup he has is a double Zillion bomb, right? But Vayne can simply tumble out of that very easily. Whereas on top side, he at least has a stun from Jax, and Camille doesn't have flash. Okay, so he is electing to open with the Raptors into Krugs. He does do this in most of his games. This simply sets up your respawns very nicely, so you can take Raptors and Krugs again before your first reset, get a very high gold total for your first purchase. Okay, let's take a look at the lanes real quick here. Jax is pushing into the Camille. This is going to be interesting to see how he plays this out, because we did see Vi start on the bot side, so she could go gank to the Jax at like any time really. 3 camp, 4 camp, 5 camp. Vi is totally fine with any of those. So we'll see how the Jax decides to play it out. In the mid lane, it looks like the Vladimir is pushing into the Swain. Wow, pretty good trade early. And in the bot lane, Seraphine and Vayne are slowly pushing into the Ezreal Zillion. Okay, let's fast forward through the clear a little bit. Basically, any AoE camp you use Awakened Phoenix, any single target camp you use Awakened Tiger. I do want to see if he elects to use his Awakened stance on the blue buff, because when you do, it puts it on cooldown entering river, which can be kind of bad if there's going to be a scuttle fight or an immediate gank. He does elect to use it, okay? So this does mean, if you take a look at the cooldown here, if he tries to go for a bot gank, a mid gank, or if there was a scuttle fight, it'd be on cooldown for just a little bit. So sometimes you do actually want to save that Awakened stance and just clear a little bit slower. Alright, doesn't look like there's any gank potential quite yet. Remember, Vi is on the opposite side of river, so it would be a 2v2 if you gank mid. Alright, be careful of that. A lot of junglers forget. Okay. Clears out the Scuttle Crab. Look. Make sure his Awakened stance is up, and it looks like he's going for a gank on mid. I do think they are favored in the 2v2. Vladimir's a little bit weak early. He does have to pop the pool. Really nice from Swain, and he's going to get chased down here. Okay, another nice pull from Swain, and Vladimir does go down. Looks like Vi was here. She only has 20 CS, so that means she cleared 4 camps plus the Scuttle Crab. So in a real game, we're not exactly sure what she skipped. Might have been Krugs, might have been some topside camps. Here in the replay, of course, it's bugged, so we can see she didn't clear her topside out. Okay, and here's the nice sequencing that we talked about earlier, right? Raptors and Krugs coming up immediately, so Udyr coming out to sequence them right away. Alright, now, gonna be interesting to see if he delays the Krugs kill here. Remember, your treat comes up at every interval of, like 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, he does. Okay, so he gets another treat proc. Right, so if you kill this at 429, for example, you're not going to proc the treat that comes up at 430. And this can sometimes be relevant for your gold total on your purchase. But I think in this case, it won't make a difference. Oh. Jax does go down to the Camille here. I think he wasn't able to crash, and then Vi came in for the gank. So he elected to just commit, like, to go die to tower, so he didn't give anything over to the Vi. Oh, almost got the Camille, actually. Wow, that leap strike was close. Okay. Unfortunate for the Jax. Camille does come out ahead. Udyr coming out for the bot side. Vi's a little bit delayed. I think that because of that, there's a pretty decent chance that Udyr simply rushes out the dragon, to be honest. His mid is winning right now. His bot has prio, and Vi is delayed on the reset. Yeah, so he's going to skip out the Wolves and Gromp. He'll come back for those camps, and he's going to go straight for this dragon. Udyr takes objectives so quickly, it's disgusting. His Awakened Tiger has so much % HP damage on it. Yeah, you can see he just completely shreds this stuff. He did elect to stay on the yellow trinket, actually, not swapping the sweeper, so he can drop a ward over the wall, make sure he sees the Vi is coming. Okay. And it looks like this is going to be free. Bot lane backing off here. Vi should be on the bot side by this point. Oh. Okay. Might actually be a contest here. Who's going to get this? And it is Udyr. And because Vi queued in, she's absolutely going to have to flash out here. Her Q cooldown is quite long early, so she's going to lose her flash. Swain is on the other side. She might actually go down here. Nice job, Swain. Wow, very, very accurate with his roots. Nice job. We got a chase down. Vladimir's coming in as well. Anything going to happen here? Ult just onto Zilean, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to go down on the tail end of this. Jax does actually manage to pick up the Camille on top side. Okay. I'm going to pause the video here, and I want you guys to take a look around the map and tell me what you think Udyr should do here. What would you do in his shoes as a jungler? This is the state of the bot lane. We just had that big scuffle. There's the wave coming in, but Udyr, Zilean, Ezreal, all pretty low. Swain ult down. Mid lane, there's a pretty big wave pushing in, and top lane, there's a massive, massive wave coming into the Jax after he solo killed the Camille. Okay, here are the coming waves. Just exiting the base. Again, just take a moment to think about it. What would you do here as a jungler? Alright, I'm going to talk about how I see the situation and what I would do. You don't have to agree with me. It's not even important to me that we see the same play and we agree on it. What's more important to me is that we see the same variables. We're considering the same factors that go into this decision, right? Because there's multiple ways you can play this. First off, I don't think you ever go for a dive here. Everybody's just too low. There's too much stuff that can go wrong. Swain ult is already down, and Vladimir's still relatively healthy. It's going to take these two a little while to push in this wave, since Ezreal Zilean have somewhat weak wave clear early. Unless Zilean bombs, but then he doesn't have it up for the dive, right? I think it's just there's too much stuff that can go wrong here, especially in solo queue. So just let your bot crash this wave and let them take a reset, okay? You don't have to go catch this mid wave, because if you don't go for a bot dive, then Swain can simply walk over and catch this mid wave. He's still very healthy. He doesn't need to take a reset right now. Okay? So your main two options right now come down to, do I take a recall right here because I'm low, or do I go clear my bot side? Udyr can clear this out. He's low, but he has turtle stance, right? So he has no problems taking his bot side here. I think that you can go either way with this, and there's different pros and cons to each one. If you go clear your bot side right now, the advantage of this is that you get to recall on better gold, so you can get Amp Tome Ruby or Boots Amp Tome, whatever it is, and take a recall, and then run out towards the top side and go for Rift Herald, right, while your bot side camps are spawning. The disadvantage of this is that you're staying on the map for longer. And whenever you stay on the map for a longer period of time with low HP, this means you can't do anything actively for longer, right? You're delayed back onto the map by maybe 60 seconds or so, compared to if you just recalled right now. So then you have to think about, what could I potentially do in that 60 seconds? Is it important for me to be strong on that timer? If you were just going to recall and come back out to bot side anyways, I don't think there's anything to do, right? Swain's just going to come catch this wave, Vlad's going to recall, run back to mid, your bot's going to crash and then slowly walk back out. There's nothing that you need to be strong for on the bottom side of the map in the next 60 seconds or so, presumably. Right? So I don't think that there's any reason to recall and run back out towards your bot side. You could just go clear it right now and then recall, right? However, there is something important in top lane. What do we have here? What is Jax going to do? Okay? And this is where low elo, you could even say low elo and high elo diverge a little bit, because in low elo, you don't know if your Jax is going to do the right thing with the wave. And you also don't know if he's reliable enough to carry. Okay? In this case, because we're working with challenger players, I know exactly what this Jax is going to do. Okay, he's going to trim this wave, take a recall, and freeze this wave. Maybe walk back out, maybe TP back out, depending on the timing. And he's going to freeze into this Camille. His champion does not have enough wave clear early to go crash this entire wave and still deny creeps from the Camille. He doesn't push fast enough. So he denies much more from the Camille if he simply sets up a freeze here. The thing is, if he sets up a freeze, this Camille is absolutely fucked, okay? I don't know what she can possibly do. She's losing into a Jax. This is one of the best champions in terms of chasing you down if you're overextended in the lane, right? She is absolutely boned. So when you think about it, this Jax is going to have a very strong advantage. How does he lose it? How could this freeze potentially break? Vi, right? If you go clear your Gromp into Wolves and then recall, Vi gets out onto the map first, which means that she does have potential of rushing towards topside, breaking the freeze, and making sure her Camille is okay, right? So if you know that your Jax is going to freeze here, and you know he's a reliable player, you could actually choose to sack your bot side camps to go top side on faster tempo, and make sure your Jax is able to maintain this freeze. Okay? Again, we don't have to like argue it out and go which one is the better play, because it can vary, and it'll vary from player to player in terms of playstyle as well as in bracket of play, etc. You could even make the argument that in very high level gameplay, it's not even good for Jax to create an extended freeze here because of Rift Herald timing, right? It's obviously good for him to create a freeze right away and then take a recall, run back out, because it denies Camille a lot of minions. But if you think about it, around 7 minutes is when Camille would get back to lane with the Vi and be able to potentially crash this wave in and break the freeze. But by that timer, you could even say that that might be a waste of time, because if they crash the wave at around 7 minutes, Jax is going to have a bounce back, and then he could create a big slow push and crash this wave at around 8 minutes, and Udyr would have a very, very free Rift Herald play, right? So you could even make the argument that if you go a step further, for that reason, it's better for Udyr to just clear these camps and then come out towards the top side, because it doesn't matter if this freeze gets broken, like in a minute or so, right? But what's important to me is not that we can somehow come to some agreement on what the absolute best play is. In game, you don't even have this much time to think this in depth, right? But it's important that you guys see the pros and cons of each of these plays. Personally here, if I'm working with a Challenger Jax player, I recall. Okay? I recall. I want to make sure that this Camille is completely destroyed. And here it is. Here's the recall from Udyr, okay? So Udyr actually electing to... Let's see if he runs back into his bot side or runs towards the top side. I would expect him to just run top side here. Yep, and we can see bot crashes. They take the recall. Swain runs to catch the mid wave. And Udyr is running out towards top side with just a boots purchase. Yeah. Okay. And I might be overanalyzing. I'm not in this player's shoes, right? I don't know if this is what he was thinking or what he was seeing in the moment. Maybe he has other rationale that I maybe even missed, right? But this would be why I would recall and run towards the top side in this game. Okay, and he's running straight out for this Scuttle Crab. And look, you can see, Jax trimmed the wave, TP'd back, and look at Camille now. What can she do if Udyr is here, right? If Udyr is farming Gromp right now and Vi is here, then, well, she can go in and crash. And if Jax tries to, you know, go onto the Camille, Vi is right there. But here, there's nothing they can do, because Jax and Udyr have the winning 2v2. If Camille goes in, she is fucked. Right? And look, Jax is maintaining the freeze here, and this is what I talked about. Very, very powerful chase down. Udyr just finishing off the crab. And, wow, can she just die here? Look at the safety that this... If Udyr's not here, can Jax make this play? I don't think so, because Vi might be there. But because Udyr is here, just his presence, he doesn't even have to show up. Look what Jax is able to do. And look at this wave. How fucked is Camille, man? How fucked is Camille right now? This is so sad. Okay? So yes, you would be sacrificing some of your own economy, but it helps out your top laner indirectly. Or I guess you could even call it directly. Okay, Udyr comes out to clear his top side, probably into the Herald next. You have a choice of going towards bot side or doing Herald, but Herald is so buffed, plates are so buffed, usually right now you go for the Herald, unless you know the enemy jungler can't take it. Luckily Camille, fortunately for Camille, she did manage to get Honey Fruit, so she heals up a little bit. Okay. Udyr finishing off his topside clear, probably heading into the Herald next. And yeah, this Camille's in a little bit of a sorry position. You can see Jax is expecting the Vi to come potentially try to break this, so he's actually warding the lane bush in advance. Very, very smart from the Jax. Look at this, right? Tanking the wave a little bit, pulling it to the side, maintaining this freeze. Okay. You could argue that maybe he could even just go for a push out, though, to help his Jax with the Herald. Or sorry, his Udyr with the Herald. But this freeze is so good for him individually. Okay, and here comes Vi, right? Vi is here to break the freeze, but Udyr's right here. And this is what you always need to think about as a jungler. If you're trying to help a laner break a freeze, that typically means they're in a disadvantageous position. Otherwise, they'd break it on their own, right? You're at a combat disadvantage. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth coming over? Because it's good for your laner if you can break the freeze, but can you actually break it? Right? Because if the enemy jungler is there and you lose 2v2, it could be a very, very dangerous position. Sometimes you actually just have to sacrifice your laner. Okay? Udyr heading over. I don't think Vi knows she's actually spotted here. She does get the level up off the minions, so very smart play from Vi in terms of soaking that EXP at this interval, right? Usually soaking EXP from laners is a bit bad, but if it gets you to a level breakpoint that suddenly lets you be able to gank, it can be very powerful. You'll sometimes see Fiddlesticks players doing this too. Like, they sequence, they're not quite level 6 yet, but they're close. They actually just walk into the lane bush, leech a couple minions, hit level 6, and ult out, right? So Vi doesn't know she's on vision here. Nice play from the Jax. This is fun. This is GG. Here we go. Empowered Awakened R from Udyr just absolutely decimates these guys. I think this game is over. I do not know how Camille can come back from this. I really don't know. Alright, now Udyr is actually electing to run in and take some plates, actually dropping the Herald as well. So taking away quite a bit of gold from the Jax here. You don't have to do this. You could definitely just recall with the Jax and then save your Rift Herald for mid or bot. These are generally considered the higher value turrets to get with a Rift Herald because, you know, mid is central on the map, and bot, if you take the bot turret, your bot is free to run around the map and like swap lanes, right? If you take this top turret, it's really, really bad for Jax. He's very happy with the way the current lane state is. He's absolutely beating down this Camille. If you take down this top turret, that means that Camille can farm much further back, and Jax is going to be in much more danger if he walks up and tries to fight the Camille, right? Or farm the wave. Now, he's not going to take the full tower here. It looks like he's just going for some plates, which is fine. It just means that he wants gold on himself right now. Now, if you're playing like a full tank like Sejuani, supportive tank, then this makes no sense, right? You don't want to take away from the gold from your Jax. You would much rather get pressure onto mid or bot. But because you're playing a hard carry jungler here like Udyr, you could actually kind of excuse this. Like Udyr, Graves, these types of hard 1v9 type champions, getting the gold on yourself can be quite nice if you know there's going to be a fight coming up soon. And I would guess the reason he's doing this is because the dragon should be spawning in the next minute or two. And this means that he's going to have maximum gold on his reset, right? To play in for a very, very easy Drake. I would guess that's his rationale here. So he gets this turret plate, these plates. I'm going to have a lot of gold on this reset. Probably full demonic. Full demonic and maybe even a cloth or ruby. I think a cloth towards his Jack show. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, very, very powerful purchase, and Dragon should be coming up soon. So I would guess that's his rationale. He's probably just going to come out, clear his bot side, and then play in for the Drake. Okay. You do want to make sure to ping your bot lane here, because the only way this play can go wrong is if your bot dies, like, while you're farming your bot side out. Okay, so he's actually running out, looking to grab this Scuttle Crab. Here's the Drake spawn. Okay, Zillion just being a little bit of a nuisance here, and Udyr retreats to clear his red side. Blue side. Again, just make sure your bot doesn't die here. That's the key. Otherwise, you can't take the Drake. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. Bot takes a recall. Udyr farms his camps. You can make an argument for going Gromp Wolves into blue here, since either way you're coming out into the river, and you would have the nicer wolf respawn, as well as a little bit longer blue uptime. Right? Not a big deal, but something you can potentially think about. It looks like Udyr's actually greeting out a Raptor camp as well before going for Dragon. Okay. I would be surprised if he goes for Krugs, though. I'm pretty sure he's just going to go Raptors and then straight back down into Dragon. Yeah. So he's just being efficient with his time. He doesn't feel like he needs to play for significant setup. They already have pretty good vision here. But I think that this is pretty greedy, right? In many cases, again, especially if you're not on a carry jungler, it's better just to leave the Raptor camp here. Make sure you play for some Drake setup instead, right? But he's a little bit greedy. Okay, Jax does go down. A little bit unfortunate. He's very, very high level, so Vi's going to get quite a bit of EXP off. How much EXP did she get here? She was level 7. Okay, level 9 Jax. Oh man, look at that. 1 full level's worth of EXP. Brutal. Brutal. Okay. Gonna be a free dragon for Udyr, though. Let's fast forward just a little bit again and see how this game plays out. Okay. Throwing out some vision in river. Ooh. Let's rewind here. Was not expecting a fight to start there. Let's see how they play this out. Because it didn't look like there's nothing special about the mid lane conditions right now. So I guess people just showed up because they were on resets. Okay. An ulti onto the Swain from the Camille. Pretty ballsy considering how tanky Swain is. Yeah, this is just a little bit overforced from blue team. You can see what they're thinking about, right? Normally, this combo of Camille into Seraphine ult would be very powerful. But into these tanky champions. Okay, Udyr just chasing down with his Phoenix. Is he going to go for the dive? Gets exhausted and peels back. Okay, probably just going to crash this wave since Swain is quite low, right? Don't leave your laner out to dry here. Okay. And he backs out. Is he going to look for a recall here? Maybe just sequence into the Krugs? I would assume sequence into the Krugs. I don't know the exact timer of this red respawn, but probably Krugs red recall. Okay. And again, let's fast forward a little bit, focus on the Udyr's gameplay. Looks like the red is on delay, so he's just going to run out towards his bot side again. Alright, Udyr picking up his full demonic Swifty boots, building into his Jack show. At this point in the game, you still want to sequence your camps, but your main priority is on making plays first and invading first, because you are so strong, so far ahead of this Vi, right? Your camps are always going to be there, but the enemy camps are going to get taken if you don't go take them first, right? So Udyr coming out for the play. Looks like he's going to be able to clean up this Vayne. There we go. And catch this bot wave. Okay? And I would not be surprised right now if he just goes to invade the enemy Vi instead of taking his own camps. You do have to be careful here because your bot is on reset, so the enemy's going to have numbers first, but he is so strong that as long as he kind of plays it slow here, I think he's going to be okay. And you can see Zilean resetting towards mid. It's good if you ping your support for help here if they don't know to do this. Alright? And here he is, right? Instant invade into the Vi's jungle. Zilean coming out to support since he doesn't need to be in bot lane right away. Good job, Zilean. And yeah, he's just so strong right now. Pushing the Vi off. Needs to play this a little bit slow since the enemy bot lane will arrive first if they come. Here's Zilean. And he does win the smite fight. Nice job, Udyr. Okay. Alright. Probably just going to retreat, clear his own jungle again. Sequence up towards the top side and look for this Rift Herald. Nice and methodical. Let's fast forward. Here we are. Yep. Nice, easy clear towards top side. If you're greedy, and Aribo is a very, very greedy farm-focused player. If you're greedy, you can clear your whole top side first and then take the Rift Herald. There's no real time pressure here in terms of the enemy jungler taking this Rift Herald, right? There's no way Vi is on this Herald. But if you were prioritizing your ability to get onto the map a little bit more quickly, or you are on a bit of, like, more of a window to take this Herald while Vi's on bot side, something like that, then you could choose to skip out some of your top side camps and take the Herald first. But a little bit of a greedy player, so he takes this entire top side before going for this Rift. Okay. Jax goes down to Vladimir, and looks for another invade. Okay. I would assume he's just going to clear out the Vi's top side here, and then look for this dragon. Oh, actually, he's dropping a Rift right away on the enemy top side. So this guy just really, really wants Golden EXP onto himself. 1v9 type player, right? So this is kind of appropriate given his champion. If you're playing Graves, you're playing Udyr, this type of stuff is... it's acceptable. You could make an argument that he should probably just clear this, recall, run to bot side, right? Drop the Rift somewhere else on like a mid push with his team after Dragon. But, you know, this way he is at maximum power before the Dragon fight. He can pick up his full Jack show, build into his third item as well. Okay. But yeah, you can see the kind of playstyle tendency of this player. A lot of junglers like to group with their team in mid game when they're strong. He kind of runs around the map farming, trying to take stuff, and just keep snowballing his golden XP lead. Alright. Runs back out to the bot side, and goes straight for this dragon. Ah, looks like there's a fight first. Okay, picks up the Camille. Counter jungles the Vi again, right? This dragon's not going anywhere by this point, so you can take her camps first. Actually comes to take the blue first from the Jax. Takes this dragon. And generally speaking here, what I would recommend doing is moving with your team, because your team is all on reset. They're coming out and making aggressive plays into the enemy jungle. But Aribo is a very, very, very greedy player. If he sees his camps up, he doesn't want to go for the plays, right? He wants to sequence his camps first most of the time. So he's probably just going to read out like a full clear here. Personally, I think it's probably a little bit better if you play up with your team. Make sure that they don't get killed. Okay. Full sequence here. Again, here, you can see him greeting out the Krugs, which at least I don't think is that relevant. You already have such a commanding lead. Your team is on tempo going for a push right now, and enemy red buff is coming up. So I would much rather just peel off after Raptors, come support my mid on the push, and then go for an invade, for example, right? That's just my playstyle tendency as a player, but you can see Aribo's showing very, very clearly, right? He will almost always just try to get a sequence off. Okay. His team's still electing to go for this invade, and this is just kind of the nature of solo queue, right? People don't like to wait. And they do get caught by the Seraphine ult and go down. And this is kind of the disadvantage of the way Aribo plays the game. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, because he does get very guaranteed economy for himself in terms of gold XP. Always puts himself in a strong 1v9 position, but his team will often go down while he's kind of just AFK farming, right? Power farming away. So again, I'm not going to say whose fault it is. You could say it's Jax's fault, that these guys shouldn't have gone in without the Udyr. You could say it's Udyr's fault for not playing on tempo with his team. Either way, those are the pros and cons, right? Okay. So this game is going to slow down a little bit while his team is respawning. They may actually just go for a fight here because he's so strong. Not typically the fight you would want to take, but... Alright, goes in with his Phoenix. Probably going to awaken Phoenix here. Alright. And yeah, this is just not the way that I like to play games out. Like, it's a bit of a mess. He's strong enough to take this 3v5, just because of the way he's played the game, right? But I really think that by this point, just sacking Krugs and being with your team is probably a little bit more reliable. Looks like they can go for a Baron here, and this game should just be over after this. Everybody's going to reset, run back out, go for a push. And I don't see any way this team can fight this off. If they want to, they can even play slow and just go for this dragon. Yep, setting up for 2-lane push. Here we go. Okay. This team is too tanky. Jax, Udyr, Swain with the Zillion ult. These guys just can't do anything, and they have very, very limited wave clear. They just can't fight this Baron. Takes the inhib, rotates up for the mid inhib, and we're probably just going to see the game end here, a full-on push. Here we go. There's just nothing they can do. Udyr's just dancing in the back here, letting the Baron minions do work. Oh, big ult from Seraphine, actually. Let's watch this full fight. Big ult from Seraphine. These guys just accidentally walk up. Seraphine, instant ulti, flash ulti. Or it might have been even the ult flash. But I just don't think it matters. These guys needed like 10 more minutes to scale into this game, really. Yeah, brutal beatdown. Okay, there's the Udyr gameplay. Perfect 5-0-10 game. And you can see some of the pros, the cons of this guy's playstyle, but you can't deny that he is always at the top of the ladder. Generally speaking, very, very high win rate into Challenger. So I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll see you next time. If there's any other champions or players you want me to take a look at, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. A quick reminder that I do coach over at nice.gg if you want to check that out. The link is in the video description below. As always, a big thank you to my patrons for helping to make this channel possible.